Yeah,
But
this was really, really helpful. I took like 100 notes on things,
oh,
but
good.
yeah, I think everything you said could help all three of us, especially
For
our
sure.
businesses.
We're gonna talk about time management, not in the sense of what you do with your time, but how to get more out of it. A lot of what I hear is that you want more time to be spent on your life rather than the business, that you want the time spent on the business to bring you even more, and that you're progressively getting busier as the business grows.
We'll end it off with Valerie.
Well, I'm Audra with Heritage Painting.
My name is Katie with Colorado Doctors, and I think my best skill is I'm a solution finder. So if someone comes with me with a problem, I usually provide ideas and solutions.
Rick Webster with Floor Coverings International. Kind of thinking about my connecting with people, but I also like Katie's response because I tell people I'm a puzzle guy. So I like to go and solve puzzles for their homes and figure out the solutions to their challenging spaces.
It's a good one, especially because flooring kind of fits together like a puzzle too. It's like
Value Oliva with Clean Home Colorado. I would say my best skill is probably customer service.
we're gonna talk about time management, not in the sense of what you do with your time, but how to get more out of it. A lot of what I hear is that you want more time to be spent on your life rather than the business, that you want the time spent on the business to bring you even more, and that you're progressively getting busier as the business grows. Now, the number one thing that you've probably heard from someone is work on the business, not in the business. It's generally okay advice. The problem with it is that it's super broad, and most of the time it's gonna miss the point in pretty much every case. It's not a good statement because, oh wow, it's perfect, solves everything for you. It's a good statement if you interpret it in the way that it should. But I think if we're gonna do something useful, we gotta be more precise with it. So the way we see it is that there's two types of work you can do: low leverage work and high leverage work. Obviously, as the owner, you want to delegate the low leverage and do the high leverage. What is your current role in the business?
I'm a one-man band, so I get to do everything right now. The only thing I don't do is the installations. I've got installers who
Primarily, my set of responsibilities are supposed to be at this desk, doing payroll, handling insurance and paperwork, and keeping the books, bookkeeper and timekeeper, if you will.
And for me, I technically should be the operations manager, but I am currently an operations manager. I'm payroll. I am a field technician. Actually in the field right now. And I am HR. Those are my roles. So I am those four things right now.
Okay.
I would say I manage the people, so clients, employees, all the front end, all of the field work, schedules. My husband does marketing, but I do all the sales, closing the deals, and being the middleman for everybody.
We've done a pretty good job at listing stuff, and I actually want to go to this example right here. It's a pyramid. So we kind of have quite a few examples where we're at different stages with business. Like Rick is the one-man band, so he's kind of at the bottom of the pyramid where he has to spread himself out to multiple things. And the way it is, the less work you want to do, the higher up the pyramid you should go. You should try to take the highest leverage only, and if you want to work less, then you need to delegate more of the lower stuff. But you always keep the highest leverage because you are the owner, your time is the most valuable, so actually use it in that way. If you're at the top of the pyramid already because you've built the whole base up, you need to do the highest level stuff, because if not, you're just wasting time being at the bottom having built everything else. So figure out, is this a task that can be automated? Does your current software, like your field management software or your CRM, does it have a feature that does that automatically? If so, just do that. Easiest way to eliminate it, and you free up a lot of time that you don't have to pay someone else to do. If this is a skill that needs a specific person or a task that needs a person, give it to a person. And you only do the highest leverage work, which means that for 1 hour of work, you make more revenue for the business compared to another one. So for example, I'm gonna do Audra because that one's the easiest. You, Audra, by getting in contact with a property manager that has a bunch of properties and doing paintings on the move outs, that's much more leverage to your business than you going out and painting a house. You can put the same amount of time into it, but the one with the property manager is gonna make you way more money than going out and painting a house. So what should you do? Not paint the house, go with property manager because you have people, right? Whereas for Rick, you do have the crews that install, but with other tasks, you need to do them too because there's nobody else at the bottom of the pyramid to take over those. So it's one of those things where you need to see how much leverage do I actually have to be able to ignore the low leverage, put it to someone else, and delegate it there. But the key is do only the highest leverage work. What does this do? One, it makes it easier to hire people, because when you bring someone into a role, they're not expected to do things that are just absolutely crazy, way above their role. If you're having a painter do your books on top of it, it's not going to work. But if you have a painter just do painting, it's going to work really well. The painting examples are just the easiest because we've worked with the most painters here. But it makes it easier to manage too, because the stakes of the work that everybody does is less. Mistakes cost less. Hiring mistake is much more expensive than messing up a little bit of paint. Again, with the paint examples, because it's the easiest. Or if somebody breaks something at a house, that's much not as bad, while you're cleaning vents or you're cleaning the house, not as bad as if you spent $20,000 on a marketing campaign that you did a really poor job on. So that's the key. When we can put everybody else's job to be lower leverage, the mistakes are also lower leverage. So you are responsible for more of that, and you have more say in how the business goes, even if your employees aren't so good. Because that's the other thing it does. You don't need to hire an A player if they're only going to be doing F player things, right? So makes it much easier. But now, how do we achieve that level of leverage across everyone? So we want a simple structure within the business. This is something we've been really focused on, where we're not just going, hey, let's make more revenue, let's cut costs, let's do this. Let's take out the fluff in the business. And a really good way to do that is by having clear and well-defined roles. So let's get into it. What does a simple structure mean? It means no fluff. So because we have roles defined clearly, we know what each person needs to do for the business to succeed. We can remove everything that gets in the way. Now, a thing with fluff, there are some things that some people will have to do that for them it looks like fluff, but for someone else, it's not fluff. So, for example, for the base level worker, a cleaner, right, or a technician or a painter, their job is just go out there, get the job done. But you need them to tell you certain things. You need them to log it into the field management software. You need other things for them to give you updates. Hey, look, we ran out of paint here, or something happened. You need stuff to do your job that they don't need to do theirs. So that's the thing with fluff. Make sure that you remove everything that isn't necessary for the business as a whole to succeed, not for that specific job to succeed.
So when you say that, what comes to mind is, example, I cannot close a job and invoice until I know what's been done on the job. Was there any issues that were found? Was there any opportunities? I need photos, I need images, I need these things, but I can't invoice because I need notes.
So that would be an example, a perfect example of that is not fluff. To them, they might say, oh, this is fluff because I just need to go out there, get the job done. But it's not fluff because you depend on it. So that's the perfect example of be careful with removing fluff, that you don't remove that type of process. Even if you make the sale, if you didn't send the pictures or you didn't send what you need to keep moving with the sale, they don't get commission. So that's a really good way to make sure that it happens, because there is times that to them it's going to feel like fluff, but it isn't. So that's a perfect example that you bring up. There is things that the office needs that to the field it's just like, I don't need that. Why would I even do that? And they happen to some of the field. They never stop to understand what the office actually needs. So with clear roles, what is the outcome that you need or want from that role? That's the number one thing that you need to determine. For example, with a salesperson, what is the outcome that we want? We need them to make sales. Now, we don't define the role by go out there, make me some sales, because that's, unless you have someone that's very experienced, that's not going to go well. And even if it's someone really experienced, they might not know this process that you have that already works in your business. So what we need to do is we need to realize what are the inputs required for that outcome that we want. So we're going to list those out, and that's how the role is going to be. So again, for the salesperson, it could be, if for some reason you do door to door, I don't like you, but hey, it's a way to do it. Well, they need to knock on 100 doors. They need to knock on 200 doors to make the 20 sales that you need every week. They need to go out to this networking group, or they need to go meet X amount of property managers each month to make the number of sales that you want. That's the way to do it. So you say, hey, this is the desired outcome, but what do we need to do to get that outcome? And this goes for every single role in the business. And this will help you clear out fluff and then also identify where there's fluff that looks like fluff but actually isn't fluff, right? So not only the disconnects between the field and the office, but there might be something that someone on your team needs from you that you think is fluff. So it'll help out where it makes it really easy to see, okay, this person needs to do this, then this one needs to do that, that one needs to do that, and it makes it super easy to see everything that needs to happen from start to finish. And then that's how you design the role. You go, here are the inputs, this is the role. Here are the other inputs, this is the role. Here are the other inputs, here's the role. And the thing you can do, once you have all the roles pretty defined, it's very clear, you start giving lower leverage tasks that you can start removing off yourself to the lowest paid employees. So you kind of want to go off of how much people get paid, how high leverage they touch. So the highest paid employee gets the highest leverage work. The lowest paid gets the lowest. One, because we're paying them less, so we should expect the least of them. We shouldn't give them the most impactful things. And the ones that we do pay more, hey, this is serious stuff, we're paying you well, they need to do a good job. And this will help a ton when you get people that don't want to work as hard, that say, I just want to make a lot of money, but I don't want to work as hard. Cool. If you're not going to work as hard, you're going to get the lower leverage stuff, and that makes it really easy for you to show, hey, if you want to work on stuff that makes you money, you got to do stuff that makes us money. So that's the easiest way to do it. Now, let's talk about it. Let's see what is high leverage, what's low leverage. So I want you guys to list what you think is a high leverage activity that you do in your business right now. And it might not even be you doing it. It could be somebody else in the business doing it. I know most of you guys, except Rick, do have other people working at the higher end of your business, but just list out what you think the high leverage activities in your business are, and we'll go through them.
I think networking for sure is a high leverage.
Prospecting.
Prospecting, yep.
Yep.
Closing sales.
Yep.
Do you have anything, Andra?
I was going to start with networking. So, at the bottom end of this scale, I'm going to say some of our like Facebook and posts and things. It's like networking, and prospecting, but at the very bottom of that. So actually, I don't necessarily know that it's as high level as those other things, because I think I could potentially assign it to someone.
Yeah, and it would depend. And actually, the way we like to see it, and the easiest way to define high leverage work is what happens the fewest times per year. So the lowest leverage work tends to be what happens the most often, which usually is fulfilling clients. So that's usually what happens the most. Is you're painting houses, you're cleaning houses, you're cleaning vents, you're installing floors. That's what happens the most. That's what there's the most to do. That tends to be the lowest leverage. Whereas the things that you only need to do once are the highest leverage. So the absolute highest leverage thing you can do in a business is start it. You only do it once, and if you don't start the business, you make zero money, but if you start it, you make all the money that you've made to this point and what you'll make further on. So it's the easiest way to identify a high leverage opportunity is how many times a year do I need to do this?
Putting in processes, high or low leverage?
I would say that's one of the highest leverage things. Putting in processes, extremely high leverage, because it changes how everything else is done from that moment. So if you can say that one task you do has impact across 10 and it improves 10 other tasks or hundreds, then it's high leverage. Now, let's try to go onto low leverage activities, list some out.
I would say for us, it's probably managing emails. We get a lot of pointless emails, so I don't do any of that. My husband does all of that because he has more time to spare. I would put that at pretty low leverage for some of that.
Yep, that's a perfect example where there's no return on the time.
We recycle paint. We get nothing for it, but it has to go happen.
Yep.
I'd say for me, one of them is all the administrivia. When I sell a job, I've got to build job folders and I've got to go through and do reviews and stuff so products can be ordered. It's a time sink that is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it so time consuming? Like what restricts you from cutting down the time on that?
I've got to have hands-on with a number of different things. I mean,
and question, do you have anything currently that you've tried to automate in that? Do you have any sort of spreadsheet that you can plug things in and it'll calculate, or how are you doing that?
Well, many of the, so as a franchise, we have number of partner companies, providers or suppliers that we get their products plugged into our tablet, and it already has the quantity per carton and so on. The challenge is with the products that I don't have coming through that link. I either don't have them in a local price list, and if I do, I haven't cracked the code on how to build into that how much is in a carton, so that when I put that product into the proposal, it automatically knows I need 1,320, but a full box is actually going to bring it up to 1,340 to get boxes. So those kind of things are where I end up in that position of having to chase that stuff down.
And this would be the limiting factor for you, right? Because the number of crews you can have doesn't really matter, right? You can just, if you can get infinite jobs in, you're good, right?
Generally speaking, yeah.
I would say fixing this issue of getting through that process quicker is actually like, that's your constraint. That's what's stopping you from making more money, really.
That's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest one. Because if you can go out and in the time it takes you to do that, I would say maybe you can make one more sale, probably, just because of drive time and everything.
Oh, I mean, the other piece of it is lead flow.
Yeah.
So,
But if that process gets closed down, at least in a week, you might be able to make one or two more sales if you're really packed tight time-wise. This would actually be, eliminating this low leverage activity would be your highest leverage activity, because you can unlock so much revenue from it.
I would say for us is constantly culling through applications to know who to hire next, or definitely the hiring process is a huge low leverage most of the time because it takes up a ton of time and it takes a long time to get one good person.
How much does it currently cost to bring in a new person?
I know it costs about $800 just to go through training and to get them a new kit.
How much time do you think it's taking you to do that per candidate or per successful candidate?
Hours. I mean, days. It really depends how they come in. If I'm going through Indeed and going through all these like 100 applications, I've gotten to the point where I just put the application on ChatGPT and it's like, would you hire this person for this position, and let it grade the person and then just move on because it was just taking too long. Because I get hundreds of applications.
What would you do if all that time went to zero? What would you be doing with it?
What I would be doing instead, probably follow-ups on our CRM. Right now, I only do the lowest hanging fruit is the clients that we have, and that's how we get through.
Perfect. So how much can you make in the same amount of time? Like, let's say, because you're saying you're spending hours, you're spending days. Let's say when you're hiring, you're spending two days a week on going through applications. Okay, if you spent those 2 days in that week doing follow-ups instead of going through the hiring, how much money could that make you guys?
Oh man, I'm not a numbers person, so I really couldn't tell you. That's all my husband. But I would think of it in regards to clients. I could probably turn at least, I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. This is part of my problem. I don't know my numbers.
You're good. I mean, the good thing is that you have someone that's good at numbers. The way I would do this is go through and figure out how much money can you make with that time spent on follow-ups instead of going and recruiting. And then that's your budget to hire a recruitment agency to do that job for you.
Okay.
Because then that way they go through the applications and everything, and that's what they're good at. That's what they have the systems for already that you don't need to develop. And they'll probably, because with ChatGPT, you might have things that fall through the cracks. Maybe it would have been a good candidate, but the way they put the application or whatever isn't great for what ChatGPT wants them to. Whereas the recruitment firm might not let that drop. So that would be my recommendation, is to figure out how much money do you lose by spending all your time doing that, and just pay that to a company to do that. And then now you don't have to worry about it. One, probably saves you quite a bit of time to just do your own thing. And then you can focus on that higher leverage, which would be the follow-ups, because that brings in more money rather than just losing time looking through people that are not going to be a good fit. So
It's easier for me to like go into the field and just be a technician than it is for me to spend time to train somebody. Even though I have processes in place, technicians don't like to read. They like hands-on training, or they like videos, which we're incorporating, but it's so hard because you're like, maybe you did vent cleaning for a different company, maybe you didn't, but this is how we're going to do it. But it's a lot of repetition. You have to do it this way multiple times. Otherwise they're going to forget it. Plus my husband, who's also an employee, doesn't do the same thing I do. So if I train somebody else and he's on the job with one of the techs, they won't be the same. So for me, it's like I can hire, but then I have issues with him training and then me having my process on how I want it trained. That's where I struggle. So if you guys have any feedback there.
Expectations and how you want things, and somebody is doing it a different way. Now you're dividing your employees in two directions, and you need to basically you need to figure out whose direction you're going to go in and eliminate the other direction.
Yep.
Right,
100%.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I think you guys need to get on the same sheet of music because you need to provide, it's like your kids, when you're raising your kids. If you don't have a unified front in your marriage, your kids are going to take advantage of you. And the same is going to happen with your technicians. If you don't have a unified expectation that says, here's the standard. And probably the hardest one for you to get on that standard is going to be your husband.
Yep. And
Because he's used to doing it his own way.
The best way to get around confrontations on this is look at which one makes them more money. Make it as objective as possible. So go through reviews. Go, look, this method leads to this much revenue per customer, this average review count, and this outcome, whatever, right? As many things as you can figure out, as many metrics, and figure out which one is better. And you just put it that way, where it's like, hey, you do things this way, I think we should do things this way. Let's see which one is better. And whichever one does better, you go with that. But absolutely, like Rick, like Valerie said, you got to choose one to go with. If you've trained them one way, they go on the job site, they do things the way you've trained them to. And now your husband says, actually, no, we're going to do it this way. They're not going to be happy. If I go to a company and I get told that, I mean, I'm the worst employee you can have, so don't hire me as your employee. But if I get told that, I'm quitting on the spot. Because I'm like, you guys are not on it. I don't know what you're doing. Both processes might be good.
I want these extra steps before and after. And he's like, we're adding an extra hour of time. And to me, I'm like, let's build that hour of time into the job, because that is going to go a lot further to add that extra hour. Yeah, we're on the job site for 5 hours, but that extra hour could give us 3 or 4 more customers, because the detail and the explanation and the steps for him, it's like he's a technician mindset. He wants to get in, get out. For me, I'm like, no, we're going to sit back, and it has to be quality, educate. I'm all about education with this, and he's not a big on the educational side. For me, is the homeowner doesn't know what they don't know. Why are they getting their duct cleans to begin with? What they should expect before and after the duct cleaning. That's part of my process. He doesn't do that. So it throws my guys off, and it's been a nightmare. So
Have you ever asked your clients if that's helpful to them or not? Because it might be something that you process that they might just be like, clean the ducts and that's it. You might not even need it all the time. Or maybe it's something like a leave behind packet type thing that eliminates the time, but you still get that information out.
that's exactly what I was talking this slide about. So I'm glad you mentioned that, is we're going to do a packet.
I think something, and this is something that I see happen quite often, is that your husband is incentivized, and really the way he makes money for the business is to go on as many jobs as he can. The only way he makes the company more money is if he finishes this job and gets on to the next one. Whereas your role, more administrative, you're kind of like an octopus. You can touch multiple jobs at once and get impact across many in one specific time period, whereas he can't. So I think it's also a disconnect between your job is different than his, so the way you view things is different than the way he views things. So the way I would do it, and it's both, I think here both of you are right, both of you are wrong on things, because you're right, you need to have good expectations with customers. That's how you get better service, is by setting out expectations. He's also right, because the way he makes money, and I'm sure he's not paid minimum wage, the way he makes the business money, the way he turns a profit, is getting done with jobs as quick as possible and not getting called back. So it's probably a balancing act between the two. The way I would do it is look at one part of the process, isolate it, figure out, does this make us more money? Yes or no? If it doesn't, take it out. And there might be things that you might be able to do, like with the packet might be able to cover, or you could have and change it to be, you do a follow-up call. So your husband leaves the site, goes straight to the next job, because that's the only way he makes money. And then whoever's at the office makes the call, goes, hey, here's some things to expect. It might smell like it's burning. There's this. If you're gonna, I would recommend that you go ahead, vacuum your carpets, clean your house. You tell them how everything should be. So that's another way to do it. It might be better to have the person at the job do it, but it might also be better to have the person at the office do it. And the way I would do it is just test it. There's the best way to fix a am I right or am I wrong debate with someone is get the proof and just go, I don't know who's right, but let's figure it out. And then we're done with this. We don't have to discuss it anymore. We've worked quite a bit with husband and wife companies where that has been an issue. And actually there was one that they weren't partners. They were business partners, but not romantic partners or anything like that, at least to my knowledge. But they were having issues where one wants to run the business one way, the other one wants to run it the other way. They were both very smart. They were both right most of the time with it. All we did is say, hey, look, let's just test one value at a time. And we were the ones to decide what to test. And we tracked the data on it so that they're not fighting over it. And that was it. We figured out, hey, this works really well. This works well. We put what works, took out what doesn't work, and they got a perfect one. And now they're not fighting over it because you're not going to fight something that the data says is wrong. So it's the way he makes money is different to the way you make money for the business. So it's just figure out which one makes most.
I think I might, now that you said that, I might do a card. I also might do an email before that, before the appointment, like what to expect during and after. This is hard because it's not like that in new construction, but if they have pets or dogs, I guarantee it will smell like their furnace is on fire after they clean their ducts. And it is normal, but it's not a conversation that you would think, because if you've never had your duct cleaned, you would just assume, oh my God, something's wrong. Right. So it's like setting that expectation before that even happens versus it happening and then we're telling them after the fact. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Like it may look like we're trying to cover something up. I want them to know you may not, but you could smell this, right? But if I tell them after the fact that it's normal, they're like, is it? You know, because I never prepared them.
It looks like you're defending yourself rather than you were the expert and you knew beforehand. So I have a question on this. What do customers do while their ducts are getting cleaned? Are they usually home?
I don't know. We were at a job site yesterday. The guy followed us around for 3 hours, watched every single thing we did, and the videos and everything we took that he was going to get anyways. But then there's times where people are on their office on calls. There's times people have animals. They want to be on a walk during the time. There's time people leave the house because the vacuums are too loud and they can't think. So it's all over the place. They could be home. They cannot be home.
Are they there when you start?
90% of the time they're there.
Someone's word against someone else's word. Something that you could do too is identify which customers it's the most worthwhile to do it on. So I assume that the most worthwhile customers to spend more time with talking is first-time customers. So what you could do is, if this is a first-time customer, I do not care how busy you are, this happens. On everybody else, it doesn't happen. Because the first-time customer needs to know, hey, your house might smell like this, and they need to know it beforehand. Because 100%, if I get my ducts clean and you didn't tell me beforehand, hey, it's going to smell like your furnace is on fire a little bit, or it's going to smell burnt, right? And then I call you to say, hey, it smells burnt, and you go, oh yeah, no, that's completely normal, that's to be expected. And it's like, well, if it's to be expected, why didn't you tell me? So I'm going to think that maybe something's wrong. I'm not going to call you back. So I can almost guarantee you that needs to happen with first-time customer. I think that would be a good starting point to see, hey, let's at least get it in some ways, because I can guarantee you it is probably going to make you more money to tell people that. But if it is too much stuff that he's having to do, it will also lose you money. So it is a balancing game. And what I was going to suggest is, because most people, and it, honestly, especially first-time customers, they're probably not going to just leave the front door unlocked and let you in. And they're going to be curious about it, especially if it's their first time getting their ducts cleaned. They're going to be curious. So if you hand them a packet that explains how things are, they're going to read it. They're going to sit there, and while they watch, they're going to read it. And one, they're going to not be following you around for 3 hours. They're going to be reading the packet. They'll probably go sit down on the couch or whatever. But I think that's a really easy way to, if you absolutely can't get your husband to stop and let him know everything and let everyone know everything, because that is time being spent on the clock that isn't directly making revenue. It probably will make revenue. It 100% will make revenue, but it doesn't feel like it to the people. So it's really difficult to convince them, hey, let's do that or whatever. But the way I would do it is figure out, hey, if it can't be one person specifically saying it, can it be a packet? Can it be a call before? Can it be a call after? You can even go on a text message with them and have a predetermined voice message, or you send a video that you filmed beforehand with expectations, stuff like that. That would be something I would try as well.
I love the idea of the video though, Katie. If you had those blogs and you could send the link to your customer when you schedule their appointment. Send it out and say, here's some things to think about, some expectations, some possible possible impacts after you do it. I mean, things that just so that they then have something they can watch for 3 to 4 minutes, and it'll cover all that stuff. And then you give them that leave behind packet, and they can go back and reread that. And you said you wanted to leave, tips and tricks.
Or it can cut on cost on the leave behind packets, and it'll cut on one less thing that the technician has to remember to do, which is leave behind the packet, because they already had the link.
Print out 500 of them, and I have my team go in there, and we have a page about things, to expect, things to do, and then other services you may need, and people we recommend, because I feel like, I pay my guys a commission to find other things. They get like $15 to $20. If they're on site and they uncover another need that I can refer out, I pay my guys for that. But sometimes they're moving and shaking so much they don't have time to look at that kind of stuff.
Can I stop you really quick? So one thing, if you're bombarding your customers with a bunch of different things at one specific point, they're not going to listen to any of them. So the way I would do it is, if it's not going to be said on the job site by that specific person, the way I would do it would be, and hold up, let me plug in my computer really quick. So the way I would do it is, and if you can do a video, I would spend, this would be very high leverage. I would spend some money on a video and some time on making one. Make a video that gets automatically sent to everyone when they book a site visit or when they book a job. And that explains only, hey, this is what's going to happen during the cleaning. This is what you need to do beforehand to prepare. And this is what happens after. Here's some recommendations on what to do after, right? Or you could even cut the after stuff out. Just do the pre, and this is what it's going to be during and like for the next 15 minutes after, right? Then, once a job's completed, you send another automatic one. And that should be an email, what to do next, right? And it could be a video if you want, or it could just be plain text. It could be a text message, whatever. But then you tell them what to do next. And you say, hey, now's a good time to vacuum your carpets, clean your house, and give them absolutely everything at once. They're going to miss it. You're going to put in there, oh yeah, your house is going to smell like this, right? And then you go, and if you want your house clean, go here. If you want to paint, go here. If you want this, go here. Oh, and this is what you need to do beforehand, and this is what happens during. You will have it in there that your house will smell like this if you have pets. And someone will tell you, you never told me that, even though you did. And try to keep like one main message per contact with customers. And this will help in the field too. If you're trying to get the field to do more stuff when it comes to like customer messaging side of things, the less you do on there, the better, one, the better results you get, but two, the more compliant people will be. If I only have to tell someone one thing when I show up to a job site and one thing when I leave, I'm much more likely to do it than if I have to tell them 20. So that's the thing, is it might actually be slowing them down. It might also be bringing in a profit. So that's the thing where both sides are right. It is slowing them down, but it might be bringing money. But let's see what things only slow down, what things only bring money. Because there will be things that don't slow down at all, or it's insignificant and it makes a ton of money. And there will also be things that do slow down that don't make that much money. So it's just figuring out what is the most important thing to keep and only keep that. Because even if it doesn't slow down, even if it makes money, everything packed into one thing won't make money. So I would 100% spend some money and make a really, really good video that covers what happens before what they need to do before you show up and what it will be like at the appointment. And only cover that. Make a really good 2 to 3 minute video that covers that. I would say go out to a job site as well, so you can show them kind of the process and kind of make it almost like a airplane security video, because those are meant to be really precise and tells you what you need to know. They have no fluff to them. It is purely what you need to know in a way that's easy to understand. Basically do the same thing, where what you're saying, you're demonstrating in the video, and just tell them that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you give me ideas while we're talking. That's great. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, this was really, really helpful. I took like 100 notes on things, but yeah, I think everything you said could help all three of us, especially
For
our
sure.
businesses.